Damaging winds are the headline today across Iowa, eastern Nebraska, and central Kansas, and nearly 2 million people are inside the zone where the strongest gusts hit. An enhanced risk is posted over the Des Moines metro, with the broader threat fanning out across Omaha, Lincoln, and Sioux City. Today's Doppler score comes in at 4.2 out of 10, a low threat day, but that wind subscore is a 7, and that is what demands your attention this afternoon and tonight. Before this briefing is done, I will give you the exact city and time window where I think the worst wind damage occurs. If you are not subscribed yet, hit the button and turn on the bell so you never miss these calls. My read on this setup is straightforward. The strongest winds in the upper atmosphere are aimed directly at the same corridor where storms will fire this afternoon, and that alignment is what turns ordinary thunderstorms into a damaging wind machine. On your screen now is the jet stream map. A zone of rapidly spreading upper-level winds sits right over central Iowa and northern Illinois. That tells me storms that organize beneath this zone will be efficiently driven forward, and any strong downdraft can tap into that speed and slam it to the surface. Now looking at the surface forecast chart. A complex low-pressure center is parked over Kansas and Iowa, with warm, humid air streaming north on its east side and a cold front sweeping south behind it. That front is the trigger. As it pushes through Iowa and eastern Nebraska this afternoon, it will ignite a line of storms that bows forward and accelerates. The one variable I am watching is whether storms fire early enough to use the afternoon heat. If initiation delays past 7 p.m. Central, the line will still be potent, but coverage drops. The wind probabilities are what matter most today, so let me walk you through exactly what the hazard maps show. Here is the Day 1 wind probability map. A 30% wind corridor with significant hatching is centered from central Iowa into northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin. Significant hatching on this map means gusts above 75 miles per hour are possible inside that zone. That is strong enough to snap power poles, roll mobile homes, and peel sections of roofing off well-built houses. The broader 15% zone stretches from southern Nebraska through Iowa and into northern Illinois, so the entire Interstate 80 corridor through Iowa needs to be on guard. Now looking at the hail probability map. A 15% corridor with significant hatching covers nearly the same footprint, centered over Iowa and extending into northern Missouri. Significant hatching here means hail 2 inches or larger, roughly the size of a hen egg. That size destroys windshields, dents body panels beyond repair, and can cause serious injury if you are caught outside. If your vehicle is not in a garage tonight, it is at risk. This map shows the Day 1 tornado probability. A single 2% contour sits over southern Iowa and far northern Missouri. A brief tornado or two cannot be ruled out, but wind damage is the primary threat today. If a tornado warning does fire in that corridor, you need to be in an interior room on the lowest floor, away from windows, immediately. Now I want to show you exactly which cities fall inside these threat zones, because if your city is on this list, your afternoon and evening plans need to change. Des Moines sits at the center of the enhanced risk. This is the city facing the highest concentration of damaging wind and large hail today. Omaha and Lincoln are both inside the slight risk to the west, and you will see storms before Des Moines does, likely firing along the front as it pushes east. Sioux City is also in the slight zone on the northern edge. On the marginal fringe, Wichita and Kansas City could see isolated strong storms, but the organized line will be north of you. Norfolk and Grand Island in central Nebraska are worth watching as the line gets its start in the late afternoon before it intensifies moving east. On your screen now is the model radar forecast. This shows you where storms are expected to develop and how they move over the next 18 hours. Initiation begins across eastern Nebraska between 3 and 4 p.m. Central as the cold front overtakes the warm sector. By 5 to 6 p.m., a consolidating line of storms pushes into western Iowa, intensifying as it feeds on the humid air pulled ahead of the front. The line hits the Des Moines metro between 7 and 9 p.m., and that is the peak window for the strongest gusts and largest hail. By midnight, the line races into Illinois and begins weakening as it outruns its fuel. My call: Des Moines sees the worst of this between 7 and 9 p.m. Central tonight. That is when the strongest line segment, the highest wind gusts, and the largest hail converge over the most populated part of the risk area. No severe thunderstorm or tornado watches are active as of this briefing. I expect the Storm Prediction Center to issue a severe thunderstorm watch for central and eastern Iowa, likely between 2 and 4 p.m. Central. When that watch drops, treat it as your signal to finalize your plan. Charge your phone, know your shelter spot, and make sure anyone in your household who sleeps early understands storms will be moving through tonight. Looking ahead, tomorrow carries a slight risk across much of the same Central Plains corridor. The Day 2 wind map shows significant hatching shifting west into Nebraska and eastern Iowa, and the hail map places significant large hail probabilities over central Nebraska. This is not done after tonight. Day 3 escalates again to an enhanced risk centered near the Kansas and Nebraska border, so this weekend looks to be a busy time for severe weather. Day 4 carries a 30% severe weather probability across a wide stretch from the southern plains through the upper Midwest, and Day 5 holds at 15%. These are early signals, but the pattern is persistent, and I will sharpen those forecasts as we get closer. Looking ahead to flooding impacts with this system, Day 3 carries a marginal risk for excessive rainfall across the Dakotas and Minnesota. I will have much more detail on the flood threat this weekend as the rainfall forecasts sharpen. On the backside of this system, the Day 3 surface forecast shows a swath of mixed precipitation, including potential snow across the northern Rockies and High Plains, stretching from Montana through Wyoming and into Colorado. If you are in that zone, a sharp temperature drop behind the cold front could bring late-season accumulating snow by early next week. That is unusual for mid-May and worth monitoring. Check back for further updates as we navigate through this severe weather threat. Doppler out.